Hi, everyone. I'm excited to be here today to talk to you about some of the miracle stories that are happening right here in our own city, in our own state, every day. My name is Tony Kausha, and the title of our show is Tony's 50,000 Coincidence Miracles. Please note, this show is not about religion, and we're not trying to change anyone's religion, and we're not trying to get you to join any religion. It's just about miracle stories. I don't know of any religion on the planet that doesn't talk about miracles. That's why religions begin, because they have something that's telling them there's really a God. But we're not going to get into that. We're going to just talk about miracles and leave the decisions about all that up to you. So we don't care what religion you are. We just want to talk about miracles. If you are an atheist, I think you'll enjoy the program as well, although I can't guarantee you'll remain an atheist very long after you hear many convincing stories, coincidence kinds of stories about miracles. You can email me your own stories if you wish. We'll try to use all we can on the show. I can't guarantee we will, depending on volume and time, but you're welcome to send your stories on to us, and we will mention them when we can. You can send them to the following email address. But please notice that if we do use your story, we won't mention your name. We'll keep you anonymous. And we suggest that in your story, when you send it to us, don't use your correct name. That way anyone listening will not be able to figure out that it was you that sent the story in. The email address you can send your stories to is very easy to remember. It consists of 2 words and 3 numbers. The first word is Tony, spelled Tony, and the second word is and, spelled A-N-D, and the numbers are 777. So once again, the name is Tony and 777 at AOL.com. Well, let us begin. Our first coincidence miracle today is from a listener who said that they went shopping at Walmart, and when they pulled in to park their car, they saw another car right in front of them, a truck with a license plate number 777 on it, and because of our radio show explaining the number 777, they were all excited about that, and they wanted to get out and tell the truck driver about his license plate, but the truck driver was quicker than they were and got away, and so they just chalked it off as, well, I guess that seeing the number is showing me that I'm in the right place at the right time. So they went inside and did their shopping, and at the very end of their shopping, when they were checking out, after they checked out, they found that the man who came in with the truck was also pushing his cart out. So they were able to approach him and ask him if he knew what the 3 sevens meant, etc. And they were so delighted. The man did not know, and so they explained how Bethlehem is 777 meters above sea level, and Skull Hill, Golgotha, where Jesus was crucified, is also 777 meters above sea level. And they were so happy to tell that person that. And they relate to us, the person felt very blessed to have been given this license plate. You know, we get our license plates at random. Most of us don't order them specially. And so this man now feels like God has given him a special blessing by putting those 3 numbers on his license plate. And I would feel that way too, actually, to be honest with you. So when I see people with 3 sevens on their license plates, I can't wait to tell them how I feel they were blessed because God chose them to be the carrier of this message with 3 sevens on their license plate. The next coincidence miracle is about me. One morning I went to the exercise complex that I go to very early, and they have bleachers outside. It's also a sports complex, and they have bleachers outside with a staircase. And so I went to the staircase, and I was exercising my legs and my knees by walking up and down the staircase as I was praying. It's a great way to have prayer time with God. You know, you go for exercise and you can think about God and talk to God while you're exercising. And so I was walking up and down. It was really early, and I noticed in the corner of my eye somebody about 1/8 of a mile away That's half of a quarter of a mile away. This was outside. And I thought, gee, there's only one person. That's coincidental. I wonder if I'm supposed to go over there and say something to them. I felt some affinity. I felt like there was something about that person that I needed to pay attention to that person. So I kept walking up and down the staircase, and the person was active because they were walking. They weren't stationary. And I noticed that they were walking toward me, toward where I was. And unbelievably, I got to tell you, in this whole sports complex, the exercise complex, there's only two of us. It's very early. And this person actually came over and started using the staircase next to my staircase and was walking up and down the stairs, exercising their legs. And how amazing is this that we're both there very early. We're both using the same exercise technique. And so I was able to talk to him a little bit about my book, and I shared some things with him. He was extremely delighted about hearing the message that, we can just talk to God as a friend, and that's the key. The key to success in a relationship with God is to really, really behave like a friend and talk to him like a friend and be comfortable. Certainly be respectful. That's always important. Be respectful because we're talking to God. But he wants us not to fear him in that sense where, we treat him like the Wizard of Oz and we're afraid to get close to him. I mean, he wants us to know that he made us to be his friend, and we should live that way. The devil is making us feel like we can't be his friend, because we're not perfect. Well, God knows we're not perfect, and we're not going to be any better if we don't make God our friend. So I was able to share this with this man, and I share it with everybody. You've heard it on the radio on my show so often. I know I'm probably exhausting some of you with this message, but that is the essence of a good life. You know that God's your friend, and so you act like his friend. And when you mess up, you say you're sorry, you ask him for help, and you continue, and you keep going on, and hopefully you get better, a little bit better every day. The next coincidence miracle is about me also. As you all know, I pass out business cards that tell everybody about our book and our radio show. And I was at a park exercising, walking, and as I'm doing that, I pass out cards to people, very light conversation. I just hand them the card, tell them it's about my book, about miracles, and some of them engage me and ask me a lot of questions. And by the way, this is providential. It is God blessing me because he tells me what park to go to. He tells me when to hand somebody a card or not. If I'm approaching somebody and he knows that they're not going to be happy with the card, he'll inspire me, no, go to somebody else. So when he inspires me to give somebody a card, I'm very confident that it's going to be a successful encounter because I've been doing this for many, many years. And so I was led to hand, there were three ladies together, enjoying, it was a nice day, and I was inspired to give them the cards. I walk over and all three of them waved me away and say, no, thank you, we're not interested. No, thank you, we're not interested. And I said, I'm not selling anything. They said, we don't care, we're not interested. So they were a little rude, but I can understand, some people just don't want to be bothered about anything and they don't trust people. So I walked away, but I was mystified because I was inspired by God to give them a card, and I didn't know why that happened. Well, I kept going down the park and handing out cards, and I guess I was about 1/8 of a mile or better away from them now. And one of them came all the way down to where I was now, 1/8 of a mile away, and they said, excuse me, but we talked about your card to the other people you gave the card to around us, and we found out some of the amazing things you were telling them about miracles and your radio show and your book. So would you please, stop by on the way out? And I said, well, I'm about ready to leave now anyway, so I'll just come back with you. And we had a wonderful discussion when I got to where the three of them were seated. They asked a lot of questions, but basically I convinced them with all kinds of evidence that I've picked up over the last 54 years. I convinced them with a lot of evidence that when you get an idea or an inspiration or an intuition or a premonition, when you get those things, those are all words that people created in history over the last 2,000 years. And those are words that mean clearly that God is talking to us, like the word idea. I know some of you have heard this a lot, but the word idea is two words. It's I plus deo, and deo is the Latin word for God. So when you get an idea, an i-deo, they made that word up to tell us that you're getting a thought from God. And when you get an inspiration, obviously they made that word up to say you're having an inflow, an incoming of the Spirit. When you get an intuition, it's the incoming of a tutoring. Intuition is inside tutoring. And premonition is something you're getting, let's say it's a pre-motion. A pre-motion meaning you're getting a thought before the motion occurs. So that's a premonition. So all four of those words are clearly signs that God is talking to us. And if we just, pay attention, all day long, I've got to tell you, all day long, we are getting probably 100 different ideas, inspirations, intuitions, premonitions. We're all of us getting thoughts that just pop into our head. We don't create ideas, inspirations, etc. They just pop into our head. And so this was exactly the message they needed to hear, and they were so delighted to hear it. And I was delighted that they came back and got me to talk to them so that they could hear this wonderful message, because that's my mission in life. Our next coincidence miracle is an excerpt from the diary of Saint Faustina. Some of you have heard past comments about her. I've been reading her diary over many years, a little bit at a time. I read pages at random once in a while. And I recently opened it to the next paragraph for me to read. It was on page 167, and it was paragraph number 372. And in that paragraph, Jesus tells her that from today on, which was February 4th, 1935, that from today on, that she would now be only doing His will. She had reached a point in her friendship with God now where she worked really hard at this for many years, and she'd reached a point where God was telling her that she's gotten to the point where now she can and she is able and she's strong enough to do His will in all things. And He's helping her, of course, but this was a watershed event. God was telling her that from today on, February 4th, 1935, you will be doing my will from now on, because my will is more important to you and more interesting to you than your own will. So I was delighted to find that, because I've been preaching this for many years myself. We are to become God's friend. And when we're God's friend, we're going to ask Him what to do about everything we do. And we're going to wind up doing more and more of His will every day. And that certainly brings us joy. How could you be unhappy doing God's will? It's not possible. It's an oxymoron. If you're doing God's will, you cannot be unhappy, because God is always going to bless you for doing it. And then I also noticed in paragraph number 360, which was in the year 1935 as well, and I thought you might be interested in hearing this, but she was in a convent, and the first of the year, every year for the new year, the nuns would select a patron saint to help them for the next 12 months. So they always picked a new patron saint to help them and to guide them and inspire them for the next 12 months, and they would pick this on the first day of every year. And the nuns used a lottery technique where the Mother Superior would put names of patron saints in a box, and the nuns would go by and pull out the names, and whatever name they drew out would become the patron saint for the year. And St. Faustina put in her diary that she was longing for and hoping for that she would get as a patron saint the Eucharistic presence of Jesus. Eucharistic presence of Jesus. And when she did pull the name out, that's exactly what she got, and she was overjoyed that God inspired her that that's what she would draw, and she did draw it. God bless you all. I'll talk to you next week.